What is going on, guys? Badass Review here. Today we're taking a look at the Marvel Legends Cinematic Universe 10-year anniversary, Ronan the Accuser. Now, I got this in the mail yesterday, and gotta say, he's just an okay figure. Definitely not perfect by any means, and honestly, I'm kind of concerned with the fact that they are hiking up the prices for these figures, considering that there might not be a whole lot of reason for them to be. I'm not saying that the figure doesn't have quite a bit of detail. The sculpt work is pretty nice, and whatnot. I just feel like the paint isn't all there. I feel like there could be a little more shading, a little more detail to the figure. And but the sculpt work is pretty nice. I mean, he's pretty much he's a brand new sculpt, a lot of detail in his armor and whatnot. So I mean, the sculpt work is pretty much there. I just feel like it needs a little more paint to kind of bring that out to an extent. But overall, he's an okay figure. Nothing too crazy. One of my big issues is involving the head, which we'll get to in a minute. But as you can see, he's pretty much just how he looks like in the movie. Everything's pretty much sculpted on him for the most part. There's nothing really that's not a single. There's not really a single flat part on him that's just flat plastic. So that's really nice. So definitely, A+ for the sculpt. I think that's great. I just feel like there needs to be a little more paint to kind of bring him out. I know he's not exactly the most colorful character out there, so I can't mark him too hard for it, but I just feel like there could have been some shading in some certain spots and whatnot. But I think for $25, actually mine was like 28 something after taxes. It's pretty expensive. So if you're buying them online, you're pretty prepared to pay a little bit more than what they're initially costing because, shipping and taxes. So really, if you're going to pick these up, I would highly recommend you either pick them up all together so you can save on shipping, or you find them in the stores where they're not going to be paying for shipping and handling. So other than that, let's take a look at the sculpt. Very nice. Like I said, the body is pretty much a brand new head sculpt from head to toe. Taking a look at the head. The head looks very nice. It looks just like the actor for the most part, even though it's kind of hard to distinguish that with all his face paint. Something that's really hard to see is that he's got like the purple veins going through his face because he's got the Power Stone. The eyes are purple to also give off that effect that he does have the Power Stone in possession. And that's also seen here in his hammer, which we'll get to in a moment. But the head sculpt, I think, is very nice. The one thing I don't like about this head sculpt is the hood. Now, they've got the hood on him here, but for whatever reason, they decided to go ahead and put the shoulder pads here as a part of the hood. So when you turn the head, that happens. So the shoulder pads are connected to his hood, and quite honestly, I think that just does not look very good at all when you're trying to turn his head. Now, if I remember correctly in the movie, he doesn't move his head really at all. Like, he mostly has to do like the old Batman, turn the whole torso to kind of look over here and over there. I know he doesn't like full on turn his head like what's going on over here. He always had to kind of like tilt a little bit. So I can kind of see that aspect of it, but I really wish they could have just, strapped this down or something. Maybe just had the shoulder pads glued right here or something, and then made the hood like a separate piece. I don't quite know how they could have got around that, but this just looks kind of wonky. I don't quite look like how that looks. I mean, if you have him just sitting here looking straight, that's fine. But, if you want him to turn his head or whatever, it's going to look kind of strange. I mean, the one nice thing about this is that his articulation for his arms aren't going to be impeded. So he Well, that was unexpected. So, I guess his arm is like a Builder-Figure piece or something, because it just pops back in. But the way that came out, it felt like it was about to break. So be wary of that. That just happened trying to pop his arm, trying to pull his arm forward. So that's not good. At least that was an easy fix. Otherwise, I would have been a little unhappy there. But yeah, so it doesn't impede his arms articulation for the shoulder pads there, but you know, I still think it's kind of wonky. Now looking at the rest of the sculpt, like I said, he's got some very cool sculpting. It's all the army pieces are sculpted. I just think there could have been a little bit more wash. I mean, it's you know, he's not very colorful, like I said, so it's kind of, you know, just flat colors, but you know, he does have some cool detail. He's got some scratches here. He's got a lot of stuff going on in the armor. I think it's just kind of hard to distinguish with like what's going on with this red here, because like you almost can't tell what's going on here. You can kind of see that, but it's not like bulging out at you, you know. You kind of have to like look and see it. And then the arms, they've also got some sculpting going on there, just some like wrinkles or something, but I think that's just part of his armor piece. So really overall, just really cool details, nice sculpt. You know, I can see why the price went up a little bit for the sculpt, but usually the MCU figures always get more attention to sculpt and detail. So I don't see quite why it needs to be a higher price. But you know, I'm sure there's a reason, but I fear that they're gonna use that excuse to start making regular Marvel Legends more expensive, which is what I'm kind of afraid of, because I don't think normal Marvel Legends are worth $25. So we'll have to see how that goes. And so here's his hammer. Not a whole lot going on with it. It's pretty much like just the molded plastic with the swirly looking color to it. It looks pretty nice. They got the Power Stone here. I think they could have gone a little more heavy with the purple paint around the stone to make it look like it's kind of consuming the entire hammer, to show that like the hammer is like got all that power within it. And the way it's sculpted, it's kind of like flat all around, and then it's got some rounded out pieces. I think that's for him to hold it and get it in his hand easier and whatnot. So he holds it pretty nice. The only one problem I have is that, you know, when he's holding it with just one hand, his wrists aren't strong enough to hold the weight of it. So if you got him like this, it eventually starts turning like that. So that kind of sucks. It seems like his wrist should be a little stronger, but I mean, if you're just going to have him holding it like this or something, that's fine, or holding it with two hands, no problem. But kind of unfortunate that his wrists aren't strong enough to just hold it by itself. So for the articulation, his head is on a ball point and a swivel, so his head goes down and up, rotates 360 degrees. Focus. Arms go out and they're really stiff, so I think that has to do with why my guy's arm just keeps popping out of the socket like that, which is still unfortunate and sucks, but I think it's just because it's pretty tight right there. He's got an ab crunch, so he goes down and back a little bit. He goes down a pretty good amount. He goes back pretty good, so that's nice. Rotates at the waist. I honestly think that they could have just left the torso piece one solid piece, just to keep the sculpt all together, because it's not too noticeable with the ab crunch, but you know, you kind of see it and it looks a little wonky, and I feel like he would have been fine just having no ab crunch. But the fact that it's there is nice. It rotates at the waist, like I said. Legs go forward and back, in and out. His little skirt piece here is going to get in the way of that, so that's kind of a problem, but he's not too acrobatic of a character, so that's not too big of a deal, because honestly, he'll probably just be standing straight up or something. Upper thigh swivel. Double jointed knees? Yeah, double jointed knees. No rotation at the boot, but he does have ankle rocker and a pivot. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Groot, which came out during the first Guardians of the Galaxy wave, and then the Star-Lord from the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 wave. As you can see, he's a pretty good height, so he seems pretty accurate. He was a pretty tall guy compared to everybody else, so they got the size down pretty nicely. He's good bulk and good height, so works for me. But other than that, you know, he'll fit in just good with all your movie characters, considering that the movie character is always going to have their own separate scale from the regular Marvel Legends. So that works out really nice. Okay, so overall, I think it's a nice figure. Definitely would say that the price point is, I guess, a little warranted, but at the same time, paying an extra $5 for these figures might be a problem in the future, just because if they're not gonna deliver on shading and stuff like that, or gonna have like wonky problems with them, I can see that not being worth it. But I think the reason why they're doing this is because you got the new boxes here, which are different from the standard Marvel Legends and whatnot. We're gonna see a higher price for that. Probably a higher price because there's all the sculpting and the new characters. So I can see there being a warrant for it, but at the same time, I just worry that in the future they're gonna think that they can just do that with the regular Marvel Legends, but not do anything about it to make it worthwhile. So definitely pick this guy up, because we didn't get him the first time around. So this wave is definitely nice to get all the villains that we didn't get the first time. This should have just came out, but it might have been better that they come out now instead of before, because they might not have been the best sculpt or paint. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you later.